So he took those matches out back, poured some of the gasoline onto the sidewalk, and tried to light the sidewalk on fire. It didn't light. He poured some more of the gasoline onto the grass, tried to light the grass on fire. No joy there either. And then he looked down at the gasoline. There's a little bit left, and it was down in the bottom. And he thought to himself, if he lights this match and drops it down in there and hits that gasoline that's on the bottom, it'll light on fire and swirl around down there and look really cool. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stepping Stones to Your Success. This is Garland, and we're going to be going into fundamental natural law number 4, which is if you lie, it will always lead to pain. So let me tell you a quick story. It's about the lie. There was once a young boy. He was spending his summer, much like many 9-year-olds did, but he was very involved in an important project. On that particular day, he decided to break his own world record of finding 32 horned toads in one day. Now, what a horned toad is about big round as my hand. They're flat. They run really fast. They got horns on their head and back. They bite, but it don't hurt much. Now, coming back to the mission for a moment, there was plenty of those horned toads in the 5 acres. It was his backyard. Now, he was up to 27 when he stumbled across something else. He found a 5-gallon old metal gas can that was missing the lid. An idea came into his mind as he looked at that gas can. So he abandoned his search for horned toads with that gas can in tow, headed back to the house. Went in through the kitchen door, which is the back door, and was fumbling around through the drawers. Now, his mom was in the other room. So there was a wall between. She couldn't see him, but she could hear him. She says, "What are you doing?" And the boy said nothing. And that was big mistake number 1. Because what he was doing was he was searching for some matches, and he found some. So he took those matches out back, poured some of the gasoline onto the sidewalk, and tried to light the sidewalk on fire. It didn't light. He poured some more of the gasoline onto the grass, tried to light the grass on fire. No joy there either. And then he looked down at the gasoline. There's a little bit left, and it was down in the bottom. And he thought to himself, if he lights this match and drops it down in there and hits that gasoline that's on the bottom, it'll light on fire and swirl around down there and look really cool. So that's what he decided to do. So he lit the match, went to lean over and drop it in, and boom! Just that fast, a ball of flame blew up right in his face. Torched the whole right side of his face, burned his hand real bad as well, would have put his eye out, but he had glasses on, so it just melted his glasses. Well, that was big mistake number 2. Now, big mistake number 2 just beat the tar out of big mistake number 1. And he screamed as loud as he could. Mom come running out the back door. Her heart just sank when she seen her baby's face was all burned up. Well, she loaded up all the kids in the station wagon. They headed to the hospital, but then realized they ain't got no money. So they headed over where Dad works, got the check early, and headed to the bank to get it cashed. Took 3 hours before the boy finally got medical attention. As soon as he came in, they brought him in right away. The doctor took him into the examination room. Mom waited outside with the kids. Well, after a while, the doctor came out of the examination room and says, "I got good news and I got bad news. What you want to hear first?" Mom says, "Well, tell me the good news." "Well, the good news is I've medicated your son. He's no longer in pain." "What's the bad news then?" "Well, the bad news is he's burned very severely on the right side of his face, and he's going to be scarred for life. He's probably going to lose the use of his right hand as well, and you got to decide what you want to do about his education, because it's going to take about 24 to 27 months for those wounds to heal." Well, that was a pretty somber trip back home. After that, the fire marshal came over to dispose of that gas can, and he looked at it. It had blown up into like a ball, and he says, "Bring me your son." So they went ahead, and Mom brought the boy out and says, "Son, you see that can? You were lucky. You were dumb, but you were lucky. See, what you don't understand, boy, is that it's not the liquid gasoline that burns, but it's the fumes or the smell of gasoline that burns. Now, you had a little bit of liquid in that can, but you had 5 gallons of fumes, and that's what exploded into your face. Now, you see how it's all rounded up? In most cases, that can would have exploded. In this case, it stayed intact, lucky for you. Okay, but if it had have exploded, not only would you have been burned from head to toe, but you'd been cut from head to toe as well because of the metal shrapnel coming off that can. So I say again, you were lucky. Okay, you were dumb, but you were lucky. In the future, son, don't ever mix matches with gasoline. It will never work out well for you. The boy nodded his head and says, "Yeah, I understand." You know how you skin your knee and it scabs over? The whole right side of his face was scabbed over, so was his hand as well. But over time, as the scabs peeled away and flaked off, they say it was a miracle because there was no scar tissue underneath on his face. And through time and perseverance, he did get the use of his right hand back as well. Now, I did miss a whole year of school, got set back a year because it did take a while for those wounds to heal. The question begs to be asked is that a true story? And the answer is yes. Every painful moment of that is a true story because, in fact, that young boy was me. The only residual effects I got of this is that this side of my hairline is a little bit higher than this side over here. And when it gets cold outside, I can feel it on the right side of my face and on my right hand before I feel it anyplace else because the nerves are closer to the surface of the skin because of the burn. But the reason I'm telling the story is that I made a couple of stupid mistakes that day. I wished that when I had the chance, I would have told my mom the truth. If I'd have told my mom the truth, then that would have saved me a whole world of pain. That'll save me a whole year of school. The moral of the story here is if you lie, it will always lead to pain. So that kind of brings us up to speed on fundamental natural law number 4, which is if you lie, it will lead to pain. So all the best to your family. Have a wonderful day, and I'll be back to you real soon.